Still able to hear me okay? I did something to my controls, so just let me know if you can't.
Audio is good.
All right, good deal.
Video
Well,
is also looking good.
all right, let's just roll with it then. See what happens. I don't know where my control bar for Zoom went, but it's somewhere. Um, okay, well, thanks for the introduction. It will, yeah, this is really a continuation on from a session we did where it was situated more as a workshop. So in the spirit of that, and in the spirit of hopefully getting something out of this, what I want to do today, because I don't expect any of you guys to really bring your own Hub Premium licenses with, but what I would like to do is to go through a couple things in Hub Basic, and we're going to walk through a couple of different pieces that I don't think we got to in the initial Hub workshop, but what we'll do for I guess the second portion of the demo interactive portion is to work with Hub Premium and show off some of the different pieces of functionality and really how it works, and hopefully build some understanding around how that platform works conceptually. I think that can go a long way. So with that, we're going to start with a few slides. Can't get away from doing a couple slides. So what I want to cover today is really, for those of you who weren't in our first session, I want to make sure we lay down some solid context there, and talk about what Hub is, if you're not familiar, and really how does that apply to your work? What is its intent? Then I want to talk about a couple of different patterns of use for Hub, and then really spend some time around how this fits in with that solutions pattern. Solutions is something we've been talking a lot about for a lot of years, really. I mean, I'd go back, almost 10 years, and I've only been here 6. So do the math on that one. So I talk about how Hub fits into the solutions pattern and how solutions are being developed today that really make sure that Hub is a key component of that. So we'll follow up with some resources and next steps, some documentation and stuff like that, kind of how we usually do in a presentation, to get you all some resources if you want to continue on, or help find some helpful information to help you along your way. So with that, what is Hub? Well, really, Hub is an engagement platform. If you wanted to explain it to somebody like I always like the term explain like I'm 5, right? So what is it? It's a website, right? It's a way to engage through web technology. Really is going to allow you to showcase your work, to reach people who might not be really GIS savvy and know what they're looking at. B, to really organize information and lay it down in more of an understandable way, but then to also organize it and focus on certain sections of an audience. So being able to use this as an engagement tool to cover really those 3 aspects. And the way that we can organize this is to, whoops, went too fast, is to think about our audience really as a it's a wide spectrum of people out there that might have different interests, might be curious about different things, might be interactive with our organizations, whether that's at the city level, county level, village level, township, whatever that might be, and it might even be our internal staff. And think about that in a big nebulous type pattern, and how do we really deliver something that's going to be purpose built, if that makes sense. So really have something that has a very specific purpose, and is going to cover something that we feel is worth addressing, and take it to that audience like that. So really using Hub to identify who's going to help us with this internally, who are some of our potential collaborators to help provide content and things like that, and then what is our intended audience, and who might just want to engage with those with this initiative as well. So how we do that is, again, by just delivering, trying to narrow the focus, and by using Hub, providing an engagement tool, a site, if you will, to help organize staff, our trusted collaborators, um, our actively engaged public or our volunteers, and then just our informed public. So this can cross um, many different patterns, but I think if you pay attention to how Esri develops their solutions, um, and how a lot of software solutions are developed today, in at least if you want to look at it more of like an enterprise approach or an organization-wide approach, there's going to be multiple different touch points, right? So Hub is going to be that tool that provides you multiple different touch points based on the type of role that um, person or group of people might have. So if we want to look at this, we have a touch point for our internal staff through Hub. We have a touch point for our trusted collaborators through Hub to help us organize content. We have a touch point for our public to be able to securely log in if we're using premium, and interact with us. And then we have a touch point for informed public. So at multiple different levels, there's multiple different tools and ways that we can start to engage with them. And that's what really makes this such a robust tool, is because it covers all those bases. So Hub really enables community engagement by providing information on important topics. Now, I think, and I hate to use this as an example, but I think it's a good example. Maybe not in the most positive light, but in the past, let's say, year and a couple months, it's been strange, right? Things have really kind of got flipped upside down, and I think in just working with local governments around Wisconsin, there was really a big push to figure out how we're gonna provide information out on some very important topics, like the COVID pandemic. And so Hub was one of those really key tools that we saw a lot of GIS professionals leverage to help um, put some contextual information around what we're seeing in our communities, and put that best foot forward, so to speak, to engage with our communities. So it allows us to do that, and it allows us to do it at scale. It also allows us to share data and content. I know years ago, I say that like it's a whole lot of years, but years ago, this there was a lot of push around open data and transparency, and being able to engage with the public by making data sets available. So that's also a key feature of Hub, is being able to take these data categories, these different data products, and make them available to our constituents or NGOs, organizations, or I remember looking back to the days of being a college student. We were looking for data all over the place just to come up with projects. So using Hub to be able to disseminate out your geospatial data. Also, Hub's a tool to collect data and feedback from the community. So we know through experience that it's one thing just to be able to talk, but you also need to listen, right? So if you have an engagement tool, it's much more effective to have a two-way engagement tool versus a one-way engagement tool. So Hub provides you tools to not only give data, but also receive data and feedback as well. Helps you measure your success, and set down and measure against those KPIs that you develop, that's going to help you really evaluate your work. Then organize collaboration. We'll get into more of this. We'll spend actually a fair amount of time on organizing the collaborative space with Hub and how we can do this. So we can do this, as I mentioned, there's several touch points. And if you miss the animation, it came through at the top of these circles here, but we can provide information on those important topics through sites. So we can use these sites and the site builder to help us really focus in and make sure that we're delivering the right information about the right topic. Now, sharing data and content, there's been some evolution of this and how this works, but really being able to leverage the search tool in the catalog to be able to make your data discoverable and accessible by the public, or by other vested organizations if they have a stake in what's going on. That's another great use case for that. Collecting data and feedback from the community. Now, this can be split into a couple of different ways here. Right now, we have community identities listed, but we can also set this up to not require a community identity. And I'll get into different user types as well down the road here a little bit to help explain what that might mean. But through some of the different functionality that's been added to Hub, basic and premium, being able to create methods to gather that feedback. But we can also do that securely through community identities. And then lastly, the initiative framework. Now, in the description of this presentation, and I mentioned it a couple times, how this all fits into that solutions approach is really organized around initiatives. So we have many initiative templates out there, and you can search and share and try out for yourself a lot of these different initiative templates and see what's going on. A lot of the Esri provided initiative templates are well documented, so you can see what's required of them, so on and so forth. But you can also develop your own initiative templates, and really that initiative, if you want to think about it, is organized into a site and content. So if it's your website, and it's all the content that you're gonna distribute out through that website. So being able to capture all this and make sure we're executing on that engagement task with the right content, with a usable site that we're gonna make sure we're sharing our message clearly and concisely, but also leaving that door open to allow feedback as well. So again, really just sets up a strong tool to effectively engage with your community. And this is all fed through ArcGIS Online. Now there are some key differences again in Hub Premium and ArcGIS Online. That kind of gets more into the identities. We'll get into that here shortly as well. But so ArcGIS Online is the platform through this, or for this, excuse me. There also is, and I left this out kind of on purpose here, just because I didn't want to get make things too confusing, but enterprise sites, which leverages very similar technology to the layout builder that we often see when developing some of these hub sites. So there's some of the differences here between premium and basic. Now the collect data and feedback from the community, again, this can fit under the premium category, but can also fit under the basic if we want to talk about making surveys available or other web applications available through just public sharing. So as we go through here, a couple of animations, I'm just going to skip through that because we kind of talked about it. But to get more into sites, really the site is going to be that content integration. Now there's a lot of examples of some great sites out there. We'll take a look at a few once we get into more of the interactive portion of this. But again, it's that content integration where you state the mission of your initiative within the site, So to use an example, I want to have an initiative about all the volunteer work we have going on within the city, and I can clearly and concisely express that. I can share applications and data sets that are specifically geared towards that, but we can also apply our own branding options to that site. So I know there's a lot of standards set forward, as far as different color coding or symbols, or there's um, city logos, county brands, things like that. You can make sure that you're leveraging all those different very organizational specific styles within your site as well. Lots of nice tools to make sure you can do that. Global navigation and site mapping included, making sure that you're going to be able to interact with this in a number of different conduits, whether that be on your smartphone or on a laptop, desktop, big screen TV, whatever you want, as long as it's hooked up to the internet. And then also having built-in analytics into these sites, Google Analytics. So making sure we're seeing how many times our sites are being hit, just so we can again evaluate the effectiveness of that site and what we're providing out. And this is all tracked through some very intuitive dashboards where you can go in and see some of that baseline information on the engagement overview of your site. So site creation, it's really, for lack of a better term, easy. But I don't want to use that too loosely, because there is, it's designed to be easy, so you can worry about making sure the content that you're putting in there really gets the focus, right? So we have this very modular layout builder. It doesn't require any custom coding, but it does support some very basic HTML type styling and options within that. And there's some different layout options and sharing controls within that, but really just designed to be like that drag and drop type method. So in the search tool and data download portion of this, I'll just advance here to the next one. We have options where through tags, through different categories that we set up, we're going to be able to enable search options for that end user to be able to find exactly what they're looking for, right? Just intended to make it easier. We can build out categories that encompass specific, key tags. That's why tags are so important when we're publishing out data or we're creating content, is to make sure that again, that they're discoverable. So, and there's been some enhancements to this and how folks can explore and interact with some of that discoverable data. We have some out of the box type data categories that are intended to really fit that open data type model. If you wanted to share out any of your geospatial data, and it's really very configurable and up to you on how that's all going to work. Again, just some different ways you can explore that data. You can enable people to grab that data service and use it directly in some of their web maps and applications. Enable downloads in some of the more common formats, shapefile, file, geodatabase, CSV, so on and so forth. But also just some exploratory analysis if they want to just view what potentially, like try before you buy kind of thing, except, you're really not charging them anything, but, just supporting that exploratory analysis to understand what they might be working with or what they might be exploring. Again, I mentioned the download portion of this, supporting, those key data set types. If you wanted to set up any type of filtered data set, there's that option as well. There's different ways you can control the content on your site. Again, I mentioned a few of these, but really, you have the search bar, but you also have category searches where you can configure that category within the site. That's going to help take some of the guesswork out of getting to the right pieces of data or content. And then through galleries as well that might be set up. We'll take a look at a few of these as we go through and explore a site. Now we can, I'm going to advance through these animations so we can just get to this and talk a little bit about how it works, because this is going to be important as we try to start understanding Hub Premium as well, because we're starting to get into some different identities at that point. So let's just, this is kind of a busy slide, so bear with me here on this. Starting in the top right, that content library, really is going to, all that content is going to be managed through groups, if that makes sense. So much like how we organize content in groups within our ArcGIS Online organization, we're going to think about using Hub, even Hub Basic and Hub Premium, in the same fashion. So if we want, let's just say we have some right-of-way data and we have that organized in a group that's specifically intended to be out for field data collection. Okay, that's very straightforward. That makes sense. But if we wanted to have a group specifically for open data, we can create a group for open data, and we can set that up to be a public group if we wanted, or we can share out applications through a public group, or if we wanted, we can also set up a private group. And this is where it's going to make sense down the road for Hub Premium, because we are talking about community access. And then through that group manager, you're going to be able to specify which pieces of content you want to include in your site. And then we also have that ability to check or uncheck that group to be accessed in the open data sites. So again, trying to provide you guys out the most comprehensive set of tools we can, or at least that have been thought up so far. I know different things come up, and we try and, at least the product team is very active in trying to add new features to this to make sure it's as smooth and as seamless as possible. So also worth noting that if you are potentially a member of outside groups, we know that somebody can be invited to a group that might not originate from their parent organization. So just to use an example, St. Croix County, here the county I live in, invited me to a group to share out some different content. Well, we can start to set it up where members of groups of publicly available, with publicly available content, we can start to include those, as long as those, struggling to talk today. It's been a week. We can start to add those. So we're making sure that, again, our data partners are partners that we might interact with as, let's say, a county might be a city and a village as well, as long as, potentially they would have some sort of GIS support and, assets to share out within our site. Hopefully that made sense. It's really just dealing with, I'm actually going to backtrack one. It's really just showing that we can include external organization groups into our group manager and make those available through our content libraries. Hopefully that was clear enough. So getting into community identities. Now this is getting more into Hub Premium, and hopefully I can help make some sense of this, because I think this is one of the the sticking points of understanding what Hub Premium really is. And actually, if there's some questions that come through on this, because I really want to make sure that we're covering this topic really well. So if you have questions, throw them in. I don't know how to open up Zoom again. So if somebody could just interrupt me and I'll get to it right away while it's top of mind, let's just do that. So ArcGIS Hub Premium adds community. And what I mean by this is it adds community members. If you sign up and you get a subscription to Hub Premium, it's going to give you community users. Community users are no different. They are no different than a ArcGIS online user. Okay, it's just organized in a different account and with intended to be used in a different way. So I'll get into the intent in a little bit here, but how this, where the confluence of this is really between our organizational account that has all of our staff within that, it is connected to that community account. They work in parallel. Okay. So that means that I can have staff from my organizational account be active in my community account if I give them permission to do so, or if they sign up to do so, or come to me and say, hey, I really want to start this initiative, help me out. So also what that means is, there's data and other information products get shared between the two accounts. So that's going to be important when we're talking about group sharing and what types of different groups and teams we want to invite the community members to. Now, the way a community member can sign up, there's a couple of different ways. You can add them manually if you have a short list of people that you want to get involved in the community account. They can register or follow as well. So a couple of different ways to allow them to get signed up. But what that does as soon as they sign up is it gives them an ArcGIS online user in the community account, not in your organizational account. It's in your community account. And then from there, that administrator will have the ability to curate their experience. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know. Jump in if anything sticks out. We can cover it while we're on this topic. So managing the community organization. Oh, I just figured out how to open up my Zoom thing here. This is good. I'm learning something. It's like, just worked from home for the first day in my life today. It seems like figuring out how to use this computer. All right. So, okay. I just saw Joe Martell ask the community tab is like the organizational tab. Basically. Yeah, basically. It's just two identity pools that sit side by side and we share content between the orgs. It's as simple as that. Now we're making sure that we're not, because if you think about, the pricing of it, it's, a creator in your organizational account is, carries a bigger price tag than a community user. But again, intent, right? It's all about intent. So how do we get people in there? Again, I'm just going to spend a minute on this. You can sign up to follow the initiative. This is one way you can get that person into a community user. There's a follow button that you can add to your layout that'll enable you to do that. There is also, you can invite users through ArcGIS Hub under the community tab where you can manage the community users right here. I'll go through a demo of this, hopefully add some clarity to that. And then you can also enable membership requests, much like in ArcGIS Online where you can manage requests for groups and whatnot. There's some ways that you can manage a request to get your community signed up there as well. So let's go on to the next one. So some of the benefits, let's go through this here. So I have this broken down into 4 benefits. I'm going to do my best to make these animations work. It's not going to be a showstopper if it doesn't. They're not that great of animations, but it's really the first benefit of this is just the consolidation across the departments into really that one internal data catalog. Now, I know that was a mouthful, but what I mean by this is being able to use your organizational account. And again, I'm talking about Hub Premium here. So you're using your organizational account to effectively manage all your items, right? Your data, your apps, your maps, any hosted media you might have. We're going to use that as essentially the quote unquote catalog. We're going to consume that through Hub Premium, right? Just by picking the content that we want to use. So that's making sure that we're using authoritative info and we're channeling it directly into our Hub site. Now, the second benefit of this is to organize communities by enabling third-party collaboration, both interagency and community partners. So what I mean by this is we have different levels of community, right? We have our general public that we oftentimes draw some assumptions about, I think, when we're sharing out content. So we try and deliver out really nice looking applications, very informative applications and data sets and things like that. We have that category. But we also can start to, especially with Hub Premium, can start to work with other levels of this, such as the trusted public. So those are our community users. That can also be limited access. Those can be community users as well as private access. So the same way that we can start to think about how we manage and secure and restrict and organize items in ArcGIS Online or portal, through different group sharing, through different roles and privileges that you have at that identity level. Again, that's one of the great perks about enabling access through identity is you can start to tweak what permissions that user might have. So think about Hub Premium the same way. We can enable trusted public access if they sign up and pass through a vetting procedure. If we want to set that up, we can set up limited access where maybe we don't want them to be able to edit anything, much like we would see with like a field user type, delete anything or anything like that. But we want them to be able to create data, and we want to enable, basically that trusted partnership, a limited access, and then private access too, if it's something more along the lines of you have determined that a community user is going to help you champion an initiative. So if we think about this, let's just say 4-H club, they have, I think there was a couple years ago, there was a 4-H club that was up on the UC stage with Jack, and they were going through a demo of some of the stuff they did. So different organizational things like that, where you can enable the use of a pretty substantial stack of technology through these community users, and really by identity define what permissions they have available. So it's that's really, in my opinion, one of the biggest features or the most impactful features of Hub Premium. So benefit 3, community user name registration to access data and follow public initiative pages. So this is a nice feature as well, because once you have signed up, you can follow different initiatives and you can be part of different teams, which means behind the scenes you're part of different groups and have access to different pieces of data. So one example of this would be, you're a volunteer that has signed up to do adopt a highway, but you're also signed up, you have maybe a a poorly drained soil type in your neighborhood and you got some catch basins and things like that. So you're also signed up to do some of the catch basin clear outs. So the nice thing is once you had that identity, you can be part of multiple different groups and teams within Hub and stay engaged. You just have access to different things at that point because it's all controlled through groups and teams. So benefit 4, the ability to create templates for localized initiatives and projects. I would gear this one more on an administrative side because there are some nice features about once you create some different initiatives, you're able to share those out or create templates of your own. This includes some of those more limited access type templates or internal templates. That's one thing that we haven't talked much on is we're able to create an initiative but just keep it internal. I know there's some great examples coming out of Grand Chute with that. So if you guys hear about some of the stuff they're doing a really nice job with some internal initiatives. So through community identities, we're starting to round this out with through the community identities. And what really rounds us out is the initiative framework. Okay, so I know this is getting a bit long, so we'll take that 5-minute break once I'm done with these slides. I'll go through these last few as quick as I can, and then we'll get into more of the hands-on portion, interactive portion. So we have that team-enabled collaboration and engagement. And again, I want to advance these slides just to show you how this works because I went too far. If we look at our key up at the top right, we can see some of those different profiles that we think about when some of these solutions are developed. And I think this does a really nice job capturing how Hub can really address that big nebulous view of public engagement and get very specific with it. But we can also really easily see the different touch points of this. So starting with the bottom, because it all starts with quality data and quality applications, maps and apps, that all that content, all those items get channeled through our site, okay, our website, our initiative page. We have our set of staff or the core team that are helping us populate that initiative page. Those are really the what do they used to call those folks? I don't know. I'm struggling to remember the name of it right now. But some of the folks that would manage websites, we can enable our peers, the folks we work with, or folks from different departments to help manage these sites and make sure that they can bring their industry knowledge into delivering good messages. We can also enable some external collaborators with that. And here, as we move clockwise, we start to see more of that public engagement too. So we have in the orange, we have those anonymous community members. That's typically what we would consider that just general web traffic that's coming to your site and looking at it and be like, okay, that's cool. I got the information I needed. But there's also those volunteers, those external stakeholders, those initiative followers, those folks that want to have a stronger role in some of these different things, or take more of an influential approach to their community, right? We do see a lot of that. And what that enables you to do is through these initiative followers, these external stakeholders and volunteers, with that access that they get, perhaps that can help reach more of a hard to reach community, because we all know, um, I think it was approved through that was 7 degrees from Kevin Bacon or whatever it was, that example, that the more people that get involved with stuff like this, the more influence and reach that they have, and it just branches out from there. So the more ways we can get people involved in our initiatives, the better. Um, Again, organized through sites and pages. Content is through apps, data, and content sharing, enabling that feedback, including team management and community management, as well as having that performance tracking to see, how many people are visiting that site. These initiative templates. Now, there's a lot of them. We're going to look at a bunch of them, or not a bunch, like 2 or 3. So, and those are all hydrated through apps. And if you're familiar with the solution story through Esri Solutions, is, um, you know, we're using apps as these different touch points. So if we think about a touch point being Hub now in that engagement process, we can start to understand how some of those different apps are going to fit nicely into that whole framework. Really, how a ready to use initiative looks, just to see it, it's kind of hard to see when you're scrolling through it, but really, like that bird's eye view, at the top, stating exactly what that initiative is, having your applications, again, putting that best foot forward, um, indicating some performance. What is your initiative about? How are we measuring against it? So some of these might be, you know, tons of garbage picked up in the last year, or some different measures of success, or things that are leading us to believe our initiative is working well, or not so well. Related information and maps, data, infographics, and surveys to help support that. And then different ways to engage towards the bottom, and then special shout out with participating agencies. All that's included in some of these ready to use initiative templates. We'll go through and see what that looks like. These are all getting updated and maintained. These are all well documented, as long as, I said, you can search and see what people have made available. There's a gallery for that. But sometimes those aren't those aren't documented at all. So you just kind of taking a guess. But some of the key solutions that I guess in my work anyway, I've seen deployed a lot, is the equitable property value solution, which is really land information, right? You're going to have all your your parcel viewer, your floodplain viewer, comp sales finder, things like that. And then there's overlap between Hub Basic and Hub Premium and all that. So we'll talk about some different things in that vein towards the end here. So to kind of capture this past 30 minutes in one slide, Hub is a lot. There's a lot to it, and I think it's safe to say there's a lot to it at the basic level, but there's also times two for Hub Premium. I think with just some of those different community identities, the initiative framework, and even some of the stuff in between that I haven't really mentioned in the slide deck, it can be a very, very powerful GovTech type solution for engagement. Now, because there is a legitimate blend if you're using geospatial data to help with any business function in local government. That could be in law enforcement, that can be in public works, that can be in land information, that can be across the board. If geospatial data is at the center of that business function, there is a significant overlap in how we can enable that data to be your engagement tool through Hub. So I think a lot of you folks out there are doing some really awesome stuff with this, and I think with a community like WLA, that can only continue to grow. I like this visual right here, and take a screenshot of it if you want. or else I will definitely provide out these slides at the end, or through the organizers, to make this available if you want. Just does a nice job at showing what's all included in the different versions of Hub Basic and Hub Premium, and also, not to be forgotten, ArcGIS Enterprise sites, because those are pretty awesome too. So this kind of just captures it. I don't need to go too far into this. I want to make sure we have plenty of time for some walkthroughs here. So what I will leave off with here is that's a very short URL, which is, I mean, doesn't always happen that way. There's some great resources out there. Has everything from some of the different blogs, the change log in Hub. I will say, I don't know if it's between the Hub team or the Survey 123 team, but there must be a contest on how fast they're doing updates, but they're always adding great stuff. So you can usually catch some of the key features in the blogs, or GeoNet, or in some of the different videos that are coming out. But again, all these are, as far as the templates and the product itself, is well documented, and you can get technical support on this as well. With that, let's take 5 minutes. I think a break was promised, and I don't want to break that promise. So if that sounds good to the organizers here, we can take that 5.
That sounds great, Jordan. We will take 5 and be back, plan to be back. And starting up, we'll play some sponsorship videos at 2 o'clock. Those will just take a couple minutes, and then we'll be right back into the rest of your presentation.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
You wouldn't mind stopping your screen share, Jordan, and then I'll play some slides during the break.
Should be all set. Let me know if that goes. Looks like it's good.
Okay, we are going to play a couple sponsorship videos here for our platinum sponsors, and then we will jump back to Jordan's presentation.
Yeah, this is the emergency. No, the Fairway in Batesville. Fairway, I don't have that. Is that in Milton? 30188.
Hi, I'm John Switchenberg with GRAFE. I'm the Geographic Information Systems Coordinator at GRAFE.
And I'm Scott Daniel, also here with GRAFE. I'm in the corporate offices in Milwaukee. We're offering infinite GIS, applying GIS to all disciplines, from municipal infrastructure to BIM, building information systems, and managing assets from top to bottom.
If you have any needs for GIS, please feel free to call Scott or I. You can find us on our website, as well as we are WLI members.
AIRS is a nationwide team of experts representing some of the most innovative problem solvers in the A&E industry. Nationally recognized for our expertise in aerial mapping, land surveying, and GIS, we deliver efficient and intelligent solutions for your project. Tell us about your budget, schedule, and situational conditions. We'll respond with a plan that brings exceptional value without sacrificing quality or service.
It looked like we had a question in the chat. Kim asked, have you or anyone else here seen any unique or effective real life examples of public hub sites to get some ideas of our own organizations? And it looks like, Jordan, you placed a link in the chat so people can go and check out some of those different examples in that link.
Yep.
Perfect.
And if you're looking for some more specific ones, we can explore some of that. But yeah, I heard Marshfield's getting ready to drop a good one here soon too. Just heard that actually. All right, let's get into the second half of this. I don't think I'm going to use it the whole hour, which is probably good. I think everybody's kind of looking forward to a 3-day weekend and getting the day over with. So let's get going without further ado. I'll start off with that gallery that I just posted, just to give you an idea. This is something that the Hub team puts together. It's a nice stopping place to get some inspiration. But it also links you right to some of the different template galleries and things like that, and some learning lessons. You can filter by sector in here, which is nice because sometimes there's a lot of stuff to sort through, and might not exactly be super user friendly when you got to go through 1,000 different sites. But there's some really nice ones out there. Local and state government here, I think you're going to find a lot of useful stuff here that can help out. So I was going back and forth trying to think about some of the best ways to pick up where we left off in the first mug get together with Morgan and where we wanted to pick up today. So I thought the best way to do that would be to go through a couple of key features I think that we didn't cover in that first working session. And then what I want to do is get into the premium side of this. And then once I've done a thorough job confusing everybody, we'll jump into how the two flavors of hub fits into the solution story. So if that sounds good, let's get right to it. So what I want to start with is this is what gets me right here. It's this little drop down thing. Oh, all right, we're just gonna start from the top. I can't get to that tab. Just to get the hub, here we see my ArcGIS Online org, nothing too special here. I'll go through the application launcher. If you're not familiar with how to navigate to hub quite yet, you can just hit the app launcher, come down here and hit the hub icon. That's going to launch it. Pretty straightforward from there. Then what you're going to see is if you're an existing hub user, yeah, hub user works. I was trying to think if that was an appropriate way to do it. You're going to see just a dashboard of all the different initiatives that you have, all the content and items that are associated or shared with Hub or available to you. And if you have premium installed, or not installed, but if you have premium access, you're also going to see your community here as well. So we'll get into the community stuff here once I get more into the Hub premium conversation. Couple of things that I wanted to note where I wanted to pick up from last time is I'm going to go into an initiative that I have spun up. This is one that I created from the solution site. So I'll preface it with that. So I didn't do all this styling work. This all came from our solutions team. I can't take credit for it. It looks very nice, very well articulated and put together nicely. But what I wanted to show was just a few elements of Site Builder. And the reason I wanted to do this is just because I know there's some folks that might not have been on that first call. So a few things, there are options for you to go through and really manipulate what you see right here. We can go through and I can use that from a template. I can go back to my initiatives page or and create a new initiative page from a template or create one that is fresh. Oh, looks like I've already used that one. And what that does is by launching this, Hub will go ahead and create that and create all the important features that the product is actually going to need to go. Now, while that's cooking up, oh, look, that's going to go fast for me. That's good. From there, what you're going to be able to do is it's just going to give you a quick splash screen saying, welcome and how to get started. But as I mentioned in that one of those initial slides is just the organization of this. Now, really, this is laid down to match that, where we have our banner. It's going to say exactly what we want to do, how is it going to be successful, and then add some different information. And from that, there is the ability to use it as it's set up right now or to configure it yourself. You have all the different theme and branding options. If you have custom hex codes or specified hex codes that you want to use for your accessibility and branding, we can set all that stuff up here in the theme. We have different header options where you can, again, add more branding to this. If you want to use your own icons or logos, we can add social media icons and links to that if we'd like, and paste your city or county or village or wherever you hail from, your Facebook link, your Twitter link, Instagram link if you're on the gram, or if you got YouTube videos that you want to share out, you can add all those up here to make sure that, again, this is not just a a two-dimensional site, right? We're making sure that we're using all the tools in the toolbox, and this is going to be a very accessible and dynamic platform for you to get all your information out to the public, and be that springboard for some of those other avenues as well. Layout builder. This is the one that I'm going to spend a few minutes on here, and this is one where I think we didn't get to a couple of different things. Really, this is where you're going to spend the majority of your time going through and modifying your site. So we can go through, and as I scroll around, again, this might be a review for some of the folks that are on the call, but for anybody who hasn't had much experience working with this, hopefully you can take something away. But as I'm moving around, things are becoming highlighted. There's some different tools associated with each of these different elements as I move along around that. These really exist in that modular framework, much like when you're working with different elements in an operations dashboard, how you can start to move things around or resize things, or maybe get to the core settings of that. So if I click on this little text box here in this row, I can see just a very simple text editor, and that might be all I need. Where I can just change the style of it, or maybe put some stuff in bold if it's supposed to be really important, or maybe even link some different documents to that within that text editor. But I mean, we can also start to add different elements to this, whether we want to add a button to initiate an action, some different cards, or some functions like that. We can also add a table if we wanted to include a table in this, things like that. So if I wanted to add let's just say I want to add a button. So right away, it's going to pop up and exist as a button. I can change what that says. Sign here. And that's probably not the greatest color for a button, but what we can do is modify what that button's gonna do. We can link certain actions within that button, unlink different things, stuff like that. If we go down here to the middle of the page, just in this default layout, we can see where some of that stuff is already cooked up. So if I just hit the edit button on here, we see the button right here. And if I click on that button, I can see, I can go ahead and see the link description. Right now it's empty. I can add a link to that if I want. And again, what that's going to do is it's really just going to make it a cleaner interaction for that end user, and be more intuitive, much how you would think about cartographic principles, right? You want it to be as straightforward, as intuitive, as user friendly as you can have, really. So a lot of similar properties go into styling of some of these different web page tools. Sorry, I've spent way too much time on a text box, but you get the idea. There's quite a bit of functionality there to allow you to make it look and act the way you want it to. You have the ability to pull in different things through this layout builder. We can add new rows, and within that row, we can embed a image to that. If I want to browse for images, let's just go back to this, open up hub photos, let's pull in cityscape. And what that's going to do, since you're using ArcGIS Online and you can host images or other media types, we can use that also to host images that we want to use in our hub site. And that'll act as a background color. And then from here, we can add another control or element to that, such as if I wanted to pull an application stack into here. So from this application stack, again, this is review for some of you folks that have worked with this before or were on the initial call, but we can go through and then select what application we want. So again, not to over elaborate on this, but the idea is for this very modular builder view to be used really a code-free interaction for that designer. So you can spend more time working on the core products that you want to hydrate this with, right? I'd rather see you spend more time working on the applications and the data and, making really good content than spending all your time working on, HTML and CSS to try and make a pretty website. Try and make some of those steps easier and whatnot. So, that's just a couple of quick things on the styling and the interaction. We can go through this layout builder and talk about each button. I don't think we need to do that. There's some great ways to, explore this and see what you have access to if you haven't played around with it yet. Different ways to link social media and video or apply, a search card. But the couple things I wanted to add here was talking about feedback. Now, I want to be able to, actually, I'm gonna get rid of this application because I don't want to use that. I want to add a public feedback application to this. So not only am I, as I mentioned in the slide presentation, delivering info, but I also want to collect info as well. So I can't remember how many releases ago, but the survey card function was added to hub layout view. Usually, in the past you had to do an iframe and drop in a survey using survey 123 with that, but now we can do it right through this layout builder. So if I'm going to do this again. I'm going to click the survey, drag it over here, highlight the box in the row that I want it, hit that, and now I have the option to either select or create a survey. I'm going to hit save really quick. So I don't want to select an existing survey. I just want to create one. So from here, we can create it off a thumbnail if we want, make it look really nice. So that doesn't look nice at all. So here, we'll just do that. We can give this a, let's say, hub survey. I am really creative today. And we'll give it a quick survey about hub. More creativity for you. We'll hit next. Now what that's going to do is, much like it would when you create something with survey 123, it's going to go ahead and start to lay down the framework to create that form, create the feature layer that data is going to get written to as people type in data and submit surveys, but then also compile all that stuff in a folder in your content so you can easily access it. And then right here through Hub, see our source builder page hasn't really changed, but we're using Survey 123 Web Designer. I mean, all this stuff is available right here through Hub. So I always like this first question. It's important stuff. We gotta keep this in here. But if we wanted to come in here and add some other questions, saying how would you rate this hub? I swear, the more people watching you type, the least effective you are at typing. So this is a required question. You can go on and go through here. So you can imagine how, in a lot of cases, especially when we're trying to provide out a service, we want to gain some understanding about satisfaction of that service, or how well does this service meet the expectations of the end user. So we can do that, and we can start to understand that by designing a survey that's going to provide that feedback back to us. I can hit save. It's going to go ahead and save that survey. If I hit publish, we're going to be good. Let's just go ahead and hit publish. And what I'm going to do is, this shouldn't take long at all. Look at that. We're rocking and rolling. So again, on the back end, this is taking care of all that work of creating those feature services, saving all those different questions and field types that we put into here. It will go through, and if I refresh this page, see, it created that folder with the survey in it. Now, if we go back in here, see, I spoke too soon. It's not going to go as fast as I want. I can go back and go to my initiatives. and open up my demo and then go down here. And now I can see, okay, this is just going to show the thumbnail. I don't really want to do this. So let me select a survey. Let's call it the hub survey. And then we want to change this from the thumbnail as being the view to embed this, so the user can just see that survey right there and be ready to go. Again, that's just a really simple and effective way to embed a survey directly in your page. It's a nice feature, like I mentioned, to get that information back to you and to help you measure the success of your hub. Again, you can start to modify some of the different features in here, just like you would an iframe. Again, very user friendly, allows you to make the most of what you have. So a couple other things. I did want to spend a minute on some of the enhancements to the content. So especially around data, a blog was published just a couple days ago about new and improved content details. We're not, just for the sake of time, I know we're getting up here almost to 2:30 already. We're not going to go through this whole thing, but really just want to digest it down and say they spent a lot of time trying to improve the details portion of this to allow you to explore, understand, get more information on the types of data sets and content that you're going to be looking at. So if you have more questions, what I'll do is, if you're curious, I'm going to just open up the chat and drop this in. We'll be good. Okay. So there's the link if you want to read more about that. But we have options when we want to share out data. And I mentioned that because I think this is going to have overlap in how we think about working with ArcGIS Hub Premium and really some of the core principles behind that. And I think the more you think about it and how you govern your ArcGIS Online org with groups and access to those groups, the easier it's going to be to start to work with managing community users. So we can make stuff discoverable through a couple of different ways. Again, we can pull in an applications card. I'm going to pull in a new row, and I can pull in that applications card and embed applications that way. We can also go down here and use a gallery card to do that. So if I were to pop in this gallery, it's going to give me a list of different options to configure that gallery. So if I'm thinking about this, and this is a hub page specifically around summer programs, and we have some web applications and dashboards and things like that, and all the different summer programs, where they are, what parks are hosting what, things like that. So there could be a number of different information products associated with that. We could select and really narrow down what types of content I want to include in that gallery, and then what types of tags to include. So that way that gallery is just condensed to consume applications that have the tags of summer 2021. Holy smokes, I almost did it. I almost said summer 2020. And filter it down that way. Again, taking the guesswork out of having to navigate through all those different things. We can also select what group we want to pull those apps from. So again, thinking about groups and how people get access to different pieces of content through groups. Those principles are going to be effective in understanding how to share out content in some of these discoverable cards, whether that be a gallery card, or we can also, where is my category, or through a category card, and we can set up different categories based on some different things. Again, categories can be nice if we're talking about data types, or they can be nice when we're talking about, just different categories of applications or information products about a certain initiative. So lots of different ways that you can start to organize and construct these hub sites, that you can start to, create and manage that content, but also ways to style it and get feedback on those sites. I think we covered a lot of that stuff pretty thoroughly in the first workshop. I just wanted to go through and show you how to configure that survey and some of the different data and content exploration options through the categories, the gallery, and then also the application gallery as well, or the application card. If there are additional questions on this, I know I'm kind of going fast through this first part, just trying to not overlap too much. Let me know in the chat or just shoot me an email. I think most of you guys have my email. Okay, so let's talk about Hub Premium just a little bit, and then spend the last few minutes talking about how this all kind of overlaps with solutions. So Hub Premium, it's enabled in what we're looking at right here. We're going to see some of those key differences. I think the first giveaway was the calendar. So a couple of things, if you took a screenshot of that slide, some of the key differences is there's the calendar of events, there's the community identities, and some of the other management tools that come along with that, with setting up some of the core teams. But if I'm going to let me just go back to my initiatives, because I think the best way to do this would be to start with going through, actually, I'm going to start from my Hub overview and talk about this. So first off, I just want to show you those community logins. So we have just a quick breakdown of all the different community members that have signed up for that community account. Signing up is easy. We have those 3 different options on how somebody can sign up. Again, we can go back to the layout builder and add a sign up card directly to it, or in numerous places across your hub site, so we make sure that they haven't missed it. But it's a straightforward process, and then we can see all the information about those folks who have signed up right through our community management tab here. Again, this is the dashboard. We're going to see community activity, total members, new members in the last 7 days, just some very straightforward stuff like this. That's going to allow you to get a general idea. What we can do from here, I think the best way to look at this is let's open up this Adopt a Catch Basin solution. And I think maybe we can blend some of this. I think that would probably be the most effective use of our time. So when we're talking about how we're going to involve a community member, I think for the purpose of this, I think we need to assume that somebody has signed up. Okay, so for the purpose of this demonstration, somebody has gone through and they've clicked on sign up. And now we're thinking about how we can start to work with that community user. So here we have Adopt a Catch Basin solution deployed. If I go into my content and I go into the folder, this entire solution has been laid down. I can get to this solution from the solution launcher, or the solutions tool in the app launcher. I can see all the different solutions that are available here: citizen problem reporter, crime analysis, so on and so forth. But for the purpose of this one, we're going to do this Adopt a Catch Basin. And from here, under this initiative, I have all the different things, or all the different toggles that I need to really effectively manage that initiative. First things first, because we're talking about Hub Premium and community members, we need to look at teams. So we can look at community to see who's signed up. which I don't think, well, we have me. I mean, just me right now because this is a demo site. But if we go into teams, I think the best way to think about this is teams are a way that we can start to compile people where we want a specific team to have access to a specific group information or information shared to a group. If I wheel back just a minute here and go into my groups, so when I use that solution deployment tool in ArcGIS Online, not only did it create all the feature services, the web maps, the web applications, the dashboards, there's pro packages and stuff like that for some of the different tools in case you need to do some, run some GP tools, but it also creates groups. So that's going to be really helpful because a lot of the ways that at least the data is organized initially has to do with these core groups. So we have our adaptive catch basin content. So that's going to be all the feature services and items associated with that initiative that we want to make sure that it's kind of organized that way. And then we have the adaptive catch basin core team. So if I pop this open, I'm going to pop it open in a new tab. Very guilty of having too many tabs open, if you can't tell already. So within this, in our core team, so that means the way the core team works is these are going to be all the collaborators on that team. So these are the teams from, can be community members, can be internal members, but whoever I've designated as being part of that core team is going to be able to go through and work with any of these, what I would consider core team type items. So if they're going to need to, make tweaks to applications or surveys or, any feature service schema or anything like that, coded domains, whatever you might want to lump into that, all that's organized into the core team. So if they log in to Hub Premium or they log in by default through group sharing and group sharing methods of securities, they're going to see all that information granted to them. Now we have also groups for the followers, so anybody who signs up to be a follower, and then for manager as well. So the nice thing about that solution deployment tool is it creates the groups, it sets up all the group sharing. If I go back to my content, as you can see, it sets up all the group sharing for you initially. So I'm sure we've all been down that road and have our battle stories of trying to edit something in collector or field maps or figuring out why something wasn't shared the right way and how we can't see it out in the field. I know I've spent some time on some phone calls like that. So that it's a very efficient tool to make sure that you're getting everything properly shared right away. Kind of went down a little rabbit hole there, but the idea is that when we start to work with the solution itself, come on, I wish this. We're also going to need to build out these teams. So I can create a new team, a supporting team, and we can call this like the Adopt Basin Support team. Add an icon to that. Enter some basic team profile information, and then I can, through the controls here, I can add different members. So if I wanted to add any members from my organization, I can do that right through, since member Hub Premium and your ArcGIS Online organizational account sit side by side. So there is direct access from one to the other. So I can come in here and I can pick people from my parent ArcGIS Online organization that I want to help be part of my support team for this initiative. Or I can go into my community, people who have already signed up, and I can add them this way. So this is a really nice way. I'm going to go ahead and add Mr. Matt Robinson to this. And now we can, again, start to build out this team. So again, if there's different ways that, people can sign up, but we're going to need to build out these teams in order to really give them that full access. Think about this as like a vetting process, and there's some different things that we can look at or have conversations about that could help make this process a bit easier. So once we build these different teams, we're going to want to make sure that we're sharing the proper content with these teams. Again, thinking about group sharing, thinking about these teams, thinking about security by identity. We're going to be able to make sure that, only the right teams, only the right groups can see the right stuff. While we're on this topic, I want to show you an example of this and what I mean. I'm going to do that through the Equitable Property Value Hub. So here we go. Let me just double check. I might have to reshare my screen, so just let me know. Here, actually, no, I'm going to do it here. So nothing should change. It just should show up in incognito. Is that, I don't know, somebody want to jump on and just confirm that it's like the incognito it says up here? We'll just go with it. So this is the Equitable Property Value Hub Initiative template. It does. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. So this is the Equitable Property Value Hub solution. And, what the general public is going to see is different than what a community member is going to see. And that's really the beauty of all this, because we can start to control how different categories of the public interact with us. And, with an initiative that's centered around knowing who somebody is, or being able to identify somebody as a volunteer, a community member, or just that nebulous general public that we typically associate with web traffic, we can cover those bases here. So with this hub initiative, we're going to go through and we're going to see all the core information on how many parcels have been valued, single family homes, condos, green space, total assessed value of all that information on how we value property. This is a really nice solution, actually. So if you're looking for something like this, it's pretty easy to spin up. There's pieces in here to help somebody figure out tax liability, if they're looking at purchasing a new home, things like that. It's very simple. So let's focus on this part right here, property applications. So right off the bat, what we see is the tax parcel viewer and locating the floodplain. But we also have information on if you want more, if there is more information that you want, you need to create an account, get involved, and then help understand the property value and review the assessment. So a couple of different ways. I'm already a member of this. Again, cooking show type mentality here. We already have one finished in the oven. So I'm going to go ahead and hit sign in. Go ahead and click on my login for this. And what that does is as soon as I sign in, if I'm up at the top, it doesn't look any different, right? Nothing looks different. But as I go down here, everything looks the same. Everything looks the same. But now I have more access, because based on a group I was added to, based on a team I was added to, and based on my desire to become a community member within this, what I can do then is start an appeal process by going through and hitting apply and being able to have this tracked by my community identity and survey 123, or I can open the comp sales finder. So I understand some of these tools you might want to just make generally available to the public. But if the principle is that you want one layer of information for the general public, and then a subsequent set of applications and tools to either provide them more information, allow them to apply for more information, or allow them to collect information from out in the field. I know there's some really good examples we've been having some conversations about with some folks on the call here about how to manage volunteers and how they're going to input data. This would be essentially the exact same construct of the workflow. We're just creating these teams, and once they have signed up or logged in, as soon as they visit that page again, they can either access applications directly through that to have those volunteers submit information to them, or provide some different applications where they could collect data out in the field through quick capture or through field maps. So just providing some really nice ways to do that. One thing I want to just take a moment to cover here, and I know this is going to open up there, but I'm gonna grab this email. And if you haven't signed up for it yet, this could be kind of fun. Let's see, is there any way to pin this bar? Let's hit that. So we're going to go to the 2021 UC Walk, Run, Bike. So if you're planning on virtually attending the UC, we can go here and we can see the Walk, Run, Bike hub that they're using, and they're getting people to sign up through Hub this way. So if you want to sign up to have your route tracked or anything like that, what you're going to do is you're going to go through the sign up process. You can just click on the icon in the screen. You can go through and do this through a survey, and it will give you that information. I just signed up for this. Here we go. I want to show you what gets sent out, because this is really interesting information, especially when we're working with volunteers. And I think you all can experience this right now if you want to sign up for the virtual walk, run, or bike. Once you sign up, you're prompted with an email. So once you're a community user, you're prompted with an email, and we can control what goes in that email. So we can give people instructions to collect data if that is part of the initiative that we want them to participate in. We can set up a QR code to take all the guesswork out of it, where they can just hit the QR code and have that app install or open up if they already have it, or direct them to a web application where it might help them in assisting to get to a certain place where we have an activity set up for them. Or if we have terms and conditions or understanding, what they're really up against. So nice thing is through that whole sign up process, there's some nice tools equipped in there, and there's some good ways you can make sure you're staying connected with those volunteers. I just wanted to point that out really quick. But, again, once they sign up, they're going to have the potential through group sharing, content sharing, identity security management. They're going to have the ability to have access to more focused applications or to more advanced capabilities with that community member role. And the permissions go all the way up to anything you'd expect with a traditional publisher type role. So you can take advantage of a lot of different tools with that, especially if you're thinking about like a citizen problem reporter or something like that, where you want to have that overlap. We are developing solutions that have this in mind, and I want to go to the documentation just to show you. So this is that equitable property value hub documentation. Now, our documentation has changed over the past couple months. I don't know if y'all have noticed this, but it used to be, that gallery page where you go and find the one you wanted and click on that and you'd be able to see everything. But now things have just been restructured a bit. But if we go in here and we look at the, kind of the what's required, this is great. So what we can see here is, these applications are going to get spun up, but which ones are by default accessible by a community user is listed right here in the requirements page. So we see community account and community account for the property appeal or the comp finder are both community accounts. All the other applications within that are not required. So if you think about this just as far as add another row to this and say about sharing, you know, public shared with a specific group where all the members of the team that we compile have access to a group right there and right here. So it's just another way of thinking about how we're adding a dimension to that sharing of content and items that way. Let me wheel back here. I know we're getting close on time. So I want to go in here and just show a couple of different things while we have a few minutes. Oh, one nice thing is when you do have a team of community members or even supporting team that you have added as a blend from like the community or your internal ArcGIS online org, we have the ability to take advantage of some messaging tools. So we can create an email to the whole team, or we can create an email to an individual within here. Nice thing is you know, you kind of have all that at your fingertips with this console, and it's just provides you a nice way to stay in touch and promote that two-way communication through, you know, all the tools that are in here. I'm going to go back. I'm going to show you one other thing here, and then we'll just leave a couple minutes for questions at the end. I want to show you the events page. So with Hub Premium, you also have the ability to create like what you might call like an event management type application. So I'm just going to grab a thumbnail and through a calendar, and I'll give you an idea of what this looks like. Through a calendar, and this one's already built out with it. In Hub Premium, you can go through and you can leverage this part of that, the interface of the layout, where somebody can go in and also sign up for events. So we can go back to this event. I'm going to call this a Summer of Fun 2021 sign up. We'll keep it like that, and let's just say sign up here to have fun. And this is, it relates it to a specific initiative for the Adopt a Catch Basin one, because I organize this right through that initiative console. It gives you the organizer information. If I want to add multiple organizers in case people want to contact this, we can add sponsors to this in case people want to contact the sponsors. Signify if it's in person, online, or both. We can pick a venue. You know, let's just say US Bank Stadium, Kirby Puckett Lane. It'll pull the rest of that information for you. And let's just have this start on June 1, unofficial start of summer right there. And this is an all-day event. Okay. So I can go ahead and publish this to the public. And what they're going to allow you to do, whoops, get that off of there. So now you have this event stored, and this along with all the information associated with your initiative that is very focused around a particular task or topic or something you want to change or anything like that. You can start to relate events to this. So you can think about this in more of think about it like a land information context. Think about it in just a local government in general context. We can have different functions. We can have town hall meetings. We can have city council meetings. We can have commissioner meetings. You name it. I mean, we can organize all this stuff and start to manage how people get access to that right through a hub site. If it's a government transparency, we can create initiatives for that. We can create events around that, and we can create different mechanisms to get that information to people. Embedding web links, if it's a Zoom meeting or WebEx or something like this, but just really simplifying that process and giving you easy ways to share it directly through that hub site, or to grab all this sharing info and drop it into some of the more common social media platforms. You can sign up to say you're going to attend, but I can also, if I go back to my initiative here, go back to my events, Summer of Fun sign up, and we can also see who's signing up to attend that. So we can start to measure against, how many people we're anticipating we're going to sign up, or what's our participation level like for these board meetings, things like that. If you were on the core team, I think I got to change around the core team settings of this so I can see that list, but you have access to all that. So Hub Premium is really just a large extension of what you can do with Hub Basic, because it really builds in that dimension of public engagement by giving them some extra responsibility to be that trusted collaborator, that trusted advisor, and take advantage of some different ways that we can get information to them through different secure identity access. And this is all, as we can see in that solution example. Solutions are even being developed this way now. So with that in mind, that we know that we don't always want to give everybody the free reign on what they're seeing. Sometimes we want to be able to track who's doing that, or just understand who's wanting to interact with what. So I didn't anticipate this was going to take the whole 2 hours. I just talk a lot, I guess. But I want to leave some time for questions. Hopefully we can get some questions going. Hopefully they're all easy questions. But if anybody has any questions on anything, let's spend the last few minutes working on that.
It looks like Jen has a question in the chat. She says, we've experimented with several of these templates and now have a bunch of initiatives that we don't need. Is there a good way to remove them? I'm thinking of groups, etc., that are created in ArcGIS Online as well.
Yeah. So that's actually a really good question, Jen. It can get kind of cluttered. Sometimes you just got to manually go through there and hack them out. I've had to do that myself a lot. I don't think there's really not that I'm aware of a simple way just to batch do it, because I think a lot of not a lot, I'd say half of the web apps and feature services are delete protected when they get spun up through the solution deployment tool. So you kind of got to go through the settings and uncheck that, and then hit save and delete. And yeah, I wish there was a better way to do it, but you kind of have to go through the manual process right now.
Any other questions out there for Jordan? We have a few minutes. I guess not.
All right. Well, that's easy.
Jordan, we appreciate 2 hours of your time this afternoon to go over all of this with us. Really appreciated.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wish we could do it in person, but next time, that'll be that'll definitely be the case. And let us know, if this is stuff you guys want to work on, even the annual conference or anything like that. Like if you'd rather see like a more of a hands-on workshop, just let me know. We'd be happy to throw something together and, have you build something when you're there and take it home with you, I guess, so to speak.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. Have a great Memorial weekend, and yeah, till next time.